drink first. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Welcome to Dadbod Bikers channel. Affordable bikes and big adventures. So we're here to talk tonight about these bikes, about our previous bikes, and kind of what our plans are for the future. So the clickbaity title of the video is "We're getting rid of them," right?
Get rid of them. Gotta go.
Chinese trash.
Burn it.
So let's buy some more Chinese.
Yeah, let's buy some more Chinese.
Okay, so I'm Kyle. Dan, one of the original founders of Dadbod Bikers, and then one of our original three couldn't make it tonight, Bob.
Yep.
Bob,
but we might be able to phone him later if we need to.
we talked to him in the driveway while it was freezing cold outside. We got his input. So we've been doing this for a while, a few years at this, going on 4 years.
Yeah.
Of Chinese bikes.
We wanted cheap adventures, right?
That's
I mean,
right.
That was.
So when we started, we weren't taping anything, we weren't doing anything. We were just putting bikes together and praying that they stayed together. I remember my first time driving, just praying the front wheel didn't fall off.
Everything, like the bolts wouldn't fall off. Yeah,
everything's vibrating.
I think we Loctited everything like twice just to make sure. Yeah, that was a little sketchy.
Yeah, so we started with the Tao TBR7s in 2021.
2021.
Early 2021.
Did we buy them off Venom or Amazon? Now I can't remember.
So we bought them.
You know what? We negotiated a deal.
Superior Power Sports. Superior Power Sports, because we got 3 shipped at once.
Right.
So we got a deal.
So they gave a discount on it.
Yep. So those, I think we were in about $1,400 a bike.
Yeah, it was dirt cheap.
So that was our first bike. That is not this bike.
No, not this bike. Different bike.
There's another video where I talk about that compared to this bike specifically. It is a carbureted 5-speed, about $1,500 bike nowadays.
Yep.
What we have sitting behind us is the 2022 Lifan KPX 250s.
Yeah, I think it's a 22.
Yeah, they're 22s. Yeah. They haven't changed. It wouldn't matter if they were 23s. They look the exact same. The only thing they did is maybe upgraded the ECU with the new map, which we have anyway.
Yeah.
And we're going to get rid of them, I think. I think I'm getting rid of mine this year.
This year?
I think this year. So the new bike we'll talk about later, coming in March.
We're hoping that comes our way.
Yeah. Lifan, hit us up. That's another Lifan. We'll talk about it later. But first, we'll talk about the first impressions and realities of a Chinese motorcycle. So, Dan, me and Rob brought you into this, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, we'd all got out of riding, right? Started families, and, we used to have crotch. We hadn't ridden in decades. We had crotch rockets, and we all kind of, set it aside and moved on with life. And then they had this bright idea, hey, let's buy some cheap dirt bikes, right? And go have some fun.
So first of all, I blame Bikes and Beards.
Yeah, yeah. You were watching
because
a lot of that.
The Hawk 250 review.
But honestly, it didn't take much to get us all to jump, right? You were like, it's $1,400. I'm like, dude, whatever, man. $1,400. That's no skin off the hand. You know what I mean? So we bought the TBRs, and for the price, I was impressed.
What were you expecting?
I was expecting it to be like a little Tinker Toy. You know what I mean? Like not. I didn't think it would hold up to what we put it through, and we trashed them. We really did for old man
driving through the river.
Yes,
right here. Here's a picture of us going through the river in Clayton,
flooding
Georgia. Dan almost flooded his out.
Yep, almost flooded mine.
Here's Dan taking his spark plug out.
I'm sure there's some. You could put a whole montage of wrecked TBR7s.
Oh, there's a whole video actually of
crashes,
us crashing, or me crashing most.
Okay, so put that on there. But yes, I would say for the price point, if you haven't ridden or you're trying to get into riding, $1,400. It was, dude. Maybe it's gonna sound, but $1,400. Just about most people could afford $1,400. You're gonna spend that on.
If you lose $1,400, your life shouldn't be over.
Yeah.
With the exception of below the poverty line, you probably don't need a motorcycle.
Right. Yeah, you probably don't need to be doing that.
If you're,
but you know what? I would say for $1,400, instead of going the little 50cc liquor cycles. Dude, this one could actually go 55.
Every time I see somebody on a moped, I'm like, you literally could have bought a motorcycle.
You could have bought a motorcycle.
But then it becomes street legal.
That is true. And then you got to register and you got to do that. Most people, anyway, we won't go down that road. But yeah, I was going to say for the price point and what we were able to do with them. And the best part was if you wrecked it, and even if it blew up, completely just blew up while you're riding it, and
that was always the joke. If it blows up on the side of a mountain or we drop it, you scrape the vents and you leave. Nobody.
No, we just.
I'll edit that out.
EPA, that wasn't us. Yeah. But that was the benefit of it, right? Was if
our hobby didn't break us,
right?
Or shouldn't break anybody.
Shouldn't.
For $1,400. Now, why did you go to the KPX?
Well, I think that we found, because we were trying to go places. Like we weren't trailering them. We were actually trying to ride places. And we found that the 5-speed was lacking, right?
Me and you drove to the farm, which is about
it's about an hour away.
It's about 45 minutes in a car on the interstate.
Yep.
So we couldn't take interstate. TBR7.
I think it took us, almost 2 hours?
It took us about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I think that was when your front axle nut loosened up.
I had to stop at that gas station. Yeah, that was a little sketch.
That was when your brakes were wobbling.
Yeah,
you had a warp
I had the tire was out of round or something.
That's
so like it was wobbling while we were going down the road. And I think we both were like, "Did you ready? Like, let's look at something else." And I think you had found. This always goes back to you. You're always the instigator, right? So
I'm the party planner.
You're the party planner, which I'm okay with you party planning. You just tell me how much and where, and we're there, right?
So I think we talked 5 of us.
Yeah, we did.
5 initially.
Yeah, because it was yeah.
There's 5. Because I went and picked up 4.
Yeah,
and you
we
took
bought them
one
all at the same
in the
time.
back of your truck.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was crazy. So we bought those local from a local dealer.
Yep.
Tiger out of Norcross Shores.
Tiger
Power Sports.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Gave us a good price at the time. $2,800. So they are just now down to $2,800 online. Right. They were $32.99 for a long time.
Because I think tax tag and whatever was like $31.
We were $31.50 registered.
Yeah. Right, registered. Yep.
Like
correct.
Tax tag, title, out the door, and because it was a Georgia dealer, we live in Georgia. We were able to get them to do the tag. Which the
TBR, we didn't have to do that. We did it ourselves because it was.
It just depends on where you order it from. Right. So
because
had we ordered from Venom, had we ordered from Superior, like Justice Bike, I ordered from Venom.
Yeah, that's true.
So my wife had Magician 250. And that I had to register and do the whole certificate of origin and everything.
Yeah, because the TBRs, we had to have a cop come out and verify things. And he was looking at, was it he or was it she? I don't even remember. They're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they were actually kind of impressed with the Chinese cheap bikes for $1,400. And
yeah, everybody I think my favorite was we had just came out of the river in Clayton.
Oh,
and we're all parked there, and these guys pulled there on a
like $13,000. Yeah, they had super expensive bikes.
Every one of their bikes was more expensive than all of our bikes combined.
And then plus you would have had to throw in another 10, 15
and we were having an easy time on the trail.
Yeah,
like
we were having a blast.
They were struggling a little with some heavy bikes too.
They were actually pretty impressed. They're like, dang, I can't believe that. So yeah.
So first impression versus how they held up over time. Yeah. Obviously impressed.
So, the TBR, it did for $1,400. I wouldn't not. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't change anything. I'd get it again. I would do it again.
Yeah, honestly, if we ever go to like a big bike, like a big touring bike, I could totally see having like a TBR in the side yard.
Yeah, just to play around. Dude, it would be great for your kid for a first bike. $1,400, dude. You could go get a beat up. Don't know what happened to it.
Kid.
Right. I sold one. Yeah. I don't even know what he did. Honestly, I don't think he could. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, when my kid's big enough, I'll probably get him a TBR.
Yep.
This is a great first bike.
Negatives about the TBR: carbureted,
5 speeds.
Always fighting jetting, having to warm it up.
Yep.
In the winter, choke it.
Yeah.
Fuel in the lines.
The rims were they didn't stay true like that. Yeah.
So these spokes, we don't check them that often. Right. Not as often as we should.
Yeah.
Never had an issue.
Right. Yeah. So we'll get to like all the advantages of, but so TBR was
So that got us to the Lifan KPX 250. That's what we've been riding on for a good 2 years of adventures. If you go back in the YouTube videos, you can tell. Obviously, the black front fender is going to be all these.
And our new custom logos that we did for KPX.
We're going to do some new decals. We've got one of our other buddies who has Bob. He's going to give us his old decals so we can make some stencils and hopefully get something out there that looks better than just black on white. Because I can cut. This is just on a Cricut at home, nothing special.
Which I think it looks pretty dang good.
Did your dragon lose its head?
Did I lose the K? Oh, I lost the front of the K.
The front of the K and the dragon's head.
Oh, yeah, we can print that ourselves. Yeah, we don't have to pay the $5. We rode the tail. We were there. It's on video. You can verify.
That was on our long trip. Actually, we talked about that in another video.
Yeah.
That's like I think it's like a 10-minute video where we talked about that whole trip. We did 4 days on these, 900 miles over 4 days.
Oh, at least
850, something like that.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Performance and durability. We already started hinting at it, right?
Yeah. So to move from the TBR to the KPX, I would say the KPX, dude, right off the bat. Fuel injection, game changer, right? That was that you click the button, it starts. I don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like it just starts.
Yeah.
When your battery works. So.
Yeah, if you let your bike sit 6 months.
Hey, well, now I will say, look, out of all of them, out of the 5, mine was the only one to have a bad battery.
So yours had a bad battery. I have replaced my battery,
but
again, I let my bike sit.
Right.
Mentor's replaced his battery. It sat for 7 months.
Yeah, if you don't ride it, that's going to happen. And I put a battery tender on mine, so now we all upgraded to $30 batteries. But but
$30.
Yeah, $30, whatever, right? And we got battery tenders, so we could check them. But
then you didn't have to clean the carburetor.
This is true, right? So I have no carb. I got fuel injection. even when we set the valves, they weren't that far out, right? And you really don't have to do that, dude. Out the box, you need to change the oil because it comes with the break-in oil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to change the oil.
So they're saying it might come with real oil.
I don't know. I'm not going to risk it.
It's $8.
We're not endorsing it, but I will say, why are you going to go out and spend $20 on some motorcycle wet clutch oil when you can get
Shell Rotella?
They're cheap.
Make sure it has the JSO MC certification on the back.
Yes.
That's all you need. You have a wet clutch in these bikes.
Yeah.
You just
so you
got to
make
oil
sure
that supports a wet clutch. Your viscosity is up to where you live.
Rotella, if you want to throw us some free oil, you know where to find us.
We go through a lot of it.
You should have seen that, man. We threw away that giant jug. Yeah. We had a huge jug of it. It was crazy.
We changed the oil on it by bikes multiple times a year.
Yeah.
So we use the Rotella. But durability out of it. So literally, you can open the box.
Yep.
Put it together.
Put it together. Yeah.
We got assembly videos out there. Yep. There's a lot of other YouTube creators that have done some really great assembly videos, much better than ours. Don't watch ours for that. But after you put it together, put gas in it. Make sure it's got good oil.
They'll start right up.
They ride and they run. You don't really have to do anything else unless something was screwed up at the factory. So durability, out of our 5 bikes from the factory, they're all cranked up and ran.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, you had a starter issue.
Yeah. And I will say that Lifan, dude, they were, look, there's like no technical Lifan dealership in Georgia, but Kyle.
There's dealerships that sell Lifan.
Correct, but not like a Lifan quote unquote dealer, right? Yeah. And we didn't go through the dealer that we bought it from. We actually contacted Lifan directly because it was so new. And I was kind of frustrated. I'm like, man, this sucks. Brand new bike. Like, I was a little peeved.
1 year warranty.
1 year warranty, but Lifan, dude, they sent us the starter. It was what, 2 bolts? I mean, I think it took 10 minutes to do.
Yeah, we made a video on it. Yeah, it was really quick. And it was simple. It was they didn't give us any crap about it. They didn't charge us for shipping.
Just
they
sent
didn't
it to
charge
us
us for the starter. They just showed it. They actually multiple parts now. So we weren't going to bring it up. But your Speedo.
Yeah, my Speedo. I will say now this one I had an issue that it was leaking oil all over the rim. I'm like, why is my bike grease? Yeah, it was like always just covered in grease. And come to find out, when you assemble them, there's a...
We didn't put in the Speedo seal on yours. We did it on all the 4 other bikes.
We put 2 of them on another bike or something. So my bike was the... it has always been the...
But they sent us the part.
Yeah. And we got the part. We put it in, dude. I ain't had a problem since, right?
Yeah. They've been really... if it's actually a warranty issue, I will say, if you go wreck your bike...
Yeah, they ain't going to help you.
They're probably not going to send you free stuff.
Right.
If it's within 1 year and you wreck it, and it's something that could have also broken under warranty, you may get lucky. Dealing with the dealers is a lot harder. Some of the dealers rip you off on pricing for parts. Yeah. Lifan is now on their KP Moto Club USA website, whatever it is. They're now offering KPX400 parts, but they don't have it actually broken out. You have to go buy it for one of their other bikes and then email them and say, hey, I actually want this for the KPX400. So that's how I got your clutch cable, which is actually my clutch. So my clutch cable, we put on the new levers, and I didn't have it adjusted right. And the clutch right here on the end of the cable was wearing, and it was actually frayed. So I we were about to go on a trip.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you weren't going, so that's why I stole your clutch cable. And it was frayed enough that I thought it was going to break on that trip. Yeah. So all I did was emailed Lifan. Well, first I stole Dan's clutch cable. Yep. So Dan now has a brand new clutch cable.
Right. I'm not complaining about it.
Emailed Lifan. They told me to buy it off KP Moto Club USA. Tell them it's for a Lifan KPX400. They sent me the right part. And at the same time, I went on AliExpress and bought what I thought looked like it. Exact same part, $17.
Can't beat that.
So super cheap parts.
But to say, everything that we've had to replace on here, if we have had to buy it, has been dirt cheap. So fuel injection, right? Money. I like the aluminum rims. They're a larger rim than the TBRs, which were steel, right? So we have aluminum, larger. I think they're 17-inch rims on this one, I think. Anyway, you can look at the size, specs, whatever, but they're better. They're larger. And I think they're actually, they stay true, they stay round.
I think everything on this bike is just one quality step. So we're talking about that earlier, right? So you have the TBR7.
Yeah, so it's like
and then you have the KPX400, or basically the Lifan products that are just, everything's a little higher quality. Literally, when we opened it up, I didn't have to go retighten a bolt.
No, everything was, I was going to say, pretty tight, right?
I didn't have to put Loctite on anything. These are counterbalanced engines compared to the TBR7, so they don't vibrate apart either.
Yeah.
So we're not having to constantly go check our axle bolts unless we screw something up.
We can talk about that. Yep, we'll talk about that one.
Again, that was my fault, not Lifan's fault, right? Everything's just a little more quality. The front forks are amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Inverted forks. Yeah.
And they are just big and beefy.
Disc brakes.
The swing arm is not a hollow piece of steel like some of the other. I know you can't see it right here. So on the TBR7, it's literally like box steel.
Yeah, it's box steel. It's cheap tube steel that, like, if you're in cap, I mean, it would
guarantee
basically
if we actually hit a jump hard enough,
you
could have bent it.
Snapped in half.
On this, it's a solid piece, right?
You know, the only thing I would say, because now I'm looking at your bike, you upgraded, and I don't know if y'all can see it or not. He probably has a video or some notes on it, but he bought a skid plate, right? And I will say, for what these
That's actually for the CSC TT250. But yeah, I bought it.
I would say because the TBR came with it. It came factory with a skid plate, and I would say for what these quote unquote are designed to do, I kind of wish that it had come with. That would have made it hands down. Like, honestly, you would need nothing.
Levers.
Yeah, the lever, dude. The stock levers. Look, nothing against them, but the first crash you go down, dude, they bend in half. So we bought new levers. I mean, Kyle went, you know.
This is actually one of our extras. So we bought a lot of levers because a lot of our friends crash
all the time,
including us. So we kept the stock levers even if we took them off, and then we use those as spares.
We actually keep one in a bag because
when you go down, your clutch lever, your brake lever's probably going to break unless you have actual bark busters, which I just now put on.
Did they come with bark busters?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
It was the TBRs.
The TBR7 came with bark busters, but they were plastic. This is a metal reinforced bark buster. If I go down, this takes the hit. Now my levers are fine. I did that because I went and bought the MZS levers.
Yeah, you bought the expensive levers. But you know, I guess bark busters would be cool if we had those. That would be, but a wish list, right? Like if there were a wish list, let's say, what could Lifan do better on the KPX250?
Skid plate,
levers, factory, right?
Yes.
Levers, better levers from the factory. The grips are, where's the original grip? The grip is shit, right? This hurts your hand when you're going
this
like
is every cheap bike out there.
Which I get it, right? It's cost, it's bottom entry level, right? But when you put like a pro taper or something where it's a little bit smoother, it's better on your hand for long term trips. So I get intro costs. So if you could change to just upgrade it a little bit, do a little bit better of a grip, right? Yeah. So the skid plate, the grip, levers, and where was I going with this? There was one more thing.
They did not fill the front forks. So per their factory spec, we went through and did the forks. It's one of my previous, just a few, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and they only had about 300 milliliters of fork oil in it, and they, per factory spec, service manual, not me guessing, it says it's supposed to have 470, and it tightened those forks up a lot.
I almost think like I would go in between because we rode them this past weekend at my buddy's farm, and mine, when I hit something hard, now it felt better, like, you know, going over some whoop-de-doos or whatever you want to call them, right? It felt better that way, but when you actually hit something and it bottomed out, it actually sounded like it was going to explode. It was a kapow! Yeah. And so I think, now I went with a heavier weight. I went with...
So you did. You went with 15 weight.
You have 10 in yours. I have 15 in mine.
Is that Maxima?
Yeah, I think
Maxima fork oil. So that's what we did on the TBR7s also. Those came with... They came with like vinegar in the
like nothing.
It was not fork oil, so those needed it. These, it felt like fork oil. It smelled a little funny. Yeah. But other than that,
it actually smelled like rear end fluid. Yeah.
That was
that was the other thing I was going to say. So if they could adjust, first gear's a little long. So if they could shorten first gear, right? So you still have, right? So we're talking like the gearing, because look, 6 speeds is freaking fantastic.
I want a power wheelie, but I want to go 85.
But I want to be able to go, at least 75 comfortably without tacking it out. Yeah. And right now what we found, and we could say we can go back to the Kentucky trip, right? We ended up buying different sprockets because if we had went with the factory sent sprocket, we were tacked out, right? You were, I mean, I don't know what what does the tack go to? 13,000?
No.
10,000, right? But red line, no, it's 10,000, red. So red line's 8. I swear we were at 9,800, like. Yeah. So we up. I don't even really call it upgrade it. We sidestepped to a different sprocket. Yeah. I think we went a tooth down in the front.
We went like 2 tooth. Yeah, we went to.
Was it a tooth or one? It was one or 2 tooth.
Yeah, because we got the 5 tooth.
Yeah, we did 1 tooth on the front down, and
it gave us just enough where
enough. Yeah, on 6 gear,
but in the woods it sucked.
It was a dog, man. Like, I mean, and like even like trying to get like right now, dude. You know the funnest part about the KPX, and I will say, like I still get like the little kid giddy smile on my face. It's ripping through the gears, man. Like it is a blast. It's like, you know what I mean. Like if you were on a cart shifter, I would put one of these on it. Like it's fun.
It's like driving in high school. I had a 1989 Toyota Camry with a 5-speed. Every red light. Yeah. You're in a Formula 1 race car. Yes. Because you get to just pedal
snatch it to the and that.
When we had Hayabusas, that would have killed us.
Yes. Yes. So Hayabusa, you know, first gear you're 90 mile an hour, right? And you're like, that's quarter throttle. This one you can full throttle.
It only goes 87.
Full throttle on this.
First gear, 8 miles an hour.
So like that's the best part. Like you don't really have to worry about you causing issues. Like with any motorcycle, it's the other people on the road that are going to kill you, right? It's not. Granted, you can kill yourself, but
yeah.
And ride with people. We ride.
You're not going to power wheelie accidentally on this.
No, and we ride with, how do you say, seasoned guys that look, we got families.
Dude, we're called Dadbod Bikers.
Right.
We ride with middle-aged, male pattern baldness, out of shape, old men in the woods at like 10 miles an hour.
And we know that we want to go home, right? You know what I mean? Like, we're not trying to do stupid things. So, like, if KPX could fix those couple things, that would make this bike outstanding for the price point, right? Because look, you could go get a brand new KLX, right? You could get a Kawasaki.
Yeah.
You could get a Honda.
$7,000, yep.
Right? And you're going to spend double. Now, you could go buy used, and you could get it for about the same price point of where we came in. But look, that's the other nice part about this, is where we came in price point. It was brand new. We were the first people to touch it.
That's what Bob said.
Bob did say the same thing.
If you are somebody that wants something brand new,
that nobody else is molested,
you are on a budget, you really can't beat this bike being fuel injected. Literally, we have a guy who rides maybe 100 miles a year in our group.
Truly.
But when he goes down and cranks it up, as long as the battery's good, like, I think the only thing I've replaced in his bike is a spark plug.
Yeah, he probably could have got away. Yeah, he probably didn't even need to.
Yeah, I know. I crank it up, put some fresh fuel in it, let it go.
Right. I will say we do run the ethanol free, because when we do store them for the winter or whatever.
Some of us run the ethanol free.
Now, when we're running it, like, I was riding to work back and forth, going from the suburbs of Atlanta down to Atlanta, which was sketchy, but I was like, dude, it's cheap. You know what I mean? Like, I was riding. It's a 2.5 gallon tank. Let's say 2.2.
2.7.
2.7.
That's what it says.
I always say, like, I could get like 2.5, and I would do that a couple times in the week. And I mean, so I was getting 60 miles to the gallon. I mean, it was crazy.
60, yeah.
It was unbelievable gas mileage, and it was fun. Again, I got to rip through the gears.
You're in a race car,
right? I was in a race, you know, and so that was fun. So I got to give them, for the price point, what it is. It's been an absolute blast as far as.
Toughest conditions you've ever put it through.
All right. So, I mean, I guess it could go either way. For engine, which to me is probably the most expensive part of the bike.
If I was from the outside looking in, I would think Chinese trash engine isn't going to blow up. Right. That's my
so look, I used to do work for Honda, and they worked on the ATVs. They would bench test every single bearing and every single engine for over 1 million hours. So they would sit it there and run it. And that's where they said, look, Polaris, you can go buy a Polaris for a third of the cost of a Honda. But they bench tested a Polaris, and look, this take this for however you want to take it, right? But Polaris, they would run 10,000 hours and it would blow a bearing, right? And I'm making numbers up here, but it was considerably less than what the Honda was. The Honda outperformed it 10 times, right? So you got what you paid for. So for
getting in the hot tub?
I don't know. It almost kind of sounded like it. So the KPX, what I was worried the most was, like, look, the most expensive part of any vehicle, right? Your car. It's your transmission, your engine. It's the big power points like that, right? So that, for me, they are turning. I can hear the jets going. So
I was making sure the video's still going through.
There's some random coming to the hot tub.
We just heard like a door slam. We're like,
what is that?
There's a hot tub off to the side.
Yeah, they're out there. So I was most concerned about the engine blowing up, and like Chinese, right? Because it's tolerances, right? If you have bad bearings, use cheap stuff. It might be good for a little, but as soon as you put it to the test, and look, like we were talking about, we were redlining everywhere we were going.
Okay, so your toughest is...
My toughest was we went to Kentucky.
370 miles.
Non-stop.
2 different days.
2 different days.
1 day apart. So
and we were wide open. Now, granted, I think we helped ourselves doing that sprocket, because we did pull the...
we were still
topped out. Yeah, I mean, dude, we had it. If we could have just had a lock, it would have been full throttle.
We should have gotten like the little rubber where you can just
lock it down.
Sit back.
But the engine performed.
Yeah,
I haven't noticed any decrease in performance.
Now, if anything, everything's kind of loosened up. I feel good about my bike.
I was gonna say, look, we brought Rotella with us. We had everything that we needed in case something did go.
Yeah,
but nothing happened. I mean, look, and we even on this road journey, which is crazy to think, but we were like, hey, there's a dirt road. Let's go down this dirt road, and we would go with it. Yeah. So we were like, whatever, right? Remember, we were. Oh my god, is that in the video? We were riding through these power lines. So I'm like, we're in the middle. Freaking nowhere, and some random dude like stuff. Like, hey, we're like, what the? Where did you come from? Did you just murder somebody? That was weird. That was.
There's a body in those.
Yeah,
and our tire tracks are here.
It was not us.
Yeah,
that was weird.
So that was good. So that was all engine, right? So mine is on the other side. So if you got the engine,
so I got engine.
The suspension side, we have as much. So again, we're not good at this dual sport riding. Like, we know people that do this.
We're not
really
motocross,
well.
right?
We're not we never rode dirt bikes as a kid, like motocross style. We ride difficult terrain. We run into rocks at 10, 15 miles an hour and just jam the front suspension into
hills.
we have not seen so much as, I think the only thing we've corrected in the suspension is a fork leak on yours, and it was due to dust because we didn't clean your forks.
Correct. And I will say that is something that you do need. They have this little scraper tool that you could probably 3D print or whatever. Right. But yeah, you got to clean your forks. And I had it was leaking oil down on the inverted fork. So the oil was leaking down. And so, yeah, mine was. But you know what? We cleaned all that. You had to. There it is, right? So, Sealmate. Right? It's a little piece of plastic. You put that around, it takes the dirt off, and I haven't had an issue since. Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons we were talking about doing fork oil. What made us kind of think along that train of thought was...
Yeah, we thought he might be low.
Right. Which we were low.
But we were both low, and I never had a leak, as far as I could tell.
So obviously I didn't leak that much.
Yep. Okay, so suspension, engine, nothing else. I mean, the starter, like we talked about, but again, they were warranted it, so I'm not even going to really count that. Maintenance experience, easy repairs.
Yeah.
Common issues.
I will say the valves sucked to try. There wasn't a whole lot of room.
To adjust on these. They were really easy on the TBR7.
Yeah. The TBR had a lot more room. This one was it was tight to get in and around. It's
up here.
Yeah. So you had to take all this off, and that was kind of a pain in the ass. I wish that was a little bit easier, but you know, at the end of the day, you could probably ride this thing 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 miles and not have to change it.
Mentor's never adjusted his. Bob's never adjusted his.
Eric's
never adjusted his.
Right. And they're still riding. They're fine.
Yeah.
Now I think you and I have the most miles, right?
So we're around 3K.
Which is called 3K. You know, at the end of the day, that's not a whole lot of miles.
It's not a lot of miles, but if you think that
abuse that we put them,
100 are off-road.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, at least. Yeah.
And that's constant, blipping.
And like I was going back and forth to Atlanta, like full throttle. So, you know, I was redlining the entire time.
So other than valves, oil changes, the cakewalk.
Yeah, like we said, we use Rotel. It's dirt cheap.
Drop it, grab the oil filter. It comes with a metal oil filter. You can grab the Kawasaki part.
Which I will say, dude, the first thing you need to do with these is make sure you do your first oil change. Because remember, we have metal shavings in it, right? And
that's 50 miles. Yeah. Like quick.
Yeah, to be fair, it's a new engine. It's breaking in. But make sure you do change that. That way you don't have that little junk running around. And we change our oil like maybe 250 miles, 500 miles. I mean, when it looks not clean anymore, we change it.
Yeah.
Right? That's basically it.
Or if we feel anything wrong with it, we're like, we'll
change oil. Right.
It is. I did the math. It's around $10 to $12 for us to change oil.
And really, the most expensive part of it is the $10 filter that we're buying from a
Kawasaki dealership.
Yeah, Kawasaki dealerships, and we're paying their markup. So if we found the same filter off Amazon, we could probably cut our cost. And
the part number's on the website.
So we probably ought to look that up.
I need to buy them in bulk.
Yeah, we need to buy that in bulk because then it wouldn't matter. But yeah, so the oil changes are cheap. Dude, we haven't even had to do anything with the tires. Our tires are still in great shape. And I think the tires,
the stock 50/50 tires.
Yeah, I think they're great, man. They're good on road. They're good off road.
They're good enough.
We went to the farm this past week, and my neighbor he has a Triumph 1300
Tiger
or something.
1200 or 1300.
Yeah, 1200, 1300. It's a big, heavy ass bike.
600 pounds.
And I got to give the dude props, man. Like he went through, and these trails are
street tires.
Yeah. No, they're 80/20.
Oh, they're 80/20. So we're 50/50.
We're 50/50. He was, or maybe he's 70/30. Anyway, he changed them. He went to Michelin's. But this dude, like, he kept up with us, which I was pretty impressed for a heavy ass bike. And like, now he did take the class where you can go learn how to do adventure bike class, which maybe we ought to do that.
So I want to go do the BMW one. So
we need to go to the Road Atlanta thing.
Oh yeah, the Road Atlanta one too.
Anyway,
so, there's a lot of different classes
we digress.
you can take. If you are actually getting into this and you've never ridden a bike before,
that's not a bad idea.
MSF safety course.
Yeah.
And then you can do off-road. If you actually like the off-road piece, there's dirt bike only courses. There's adventure riding courses. BMW does one where they'll supply the bikes. So you can get on a GS 1200 and learn how to throw that bike
maybe we should start a class for just KPXs. Because that way if you trash them, if you trash a BMW.
Trying to make money off this.
I mean, why not, right? I mean, this could be a business venture.
Oh, so speaking of money, here we go. I make no money from YouTube currently.
Right. Yeah.
No money from TikTok.
Yeah.
But KPX250.com and TBR7.com, I make no money directly from the website. I do list all the Amazon parts. Anything we've put on these bikes.
Anything we bought personally.
TBR7s. Yep. We still have a TBR7 running around in a house across the street. I actually physically put the part on or have somebody document it for me that I actually trust, not just some random that's like, hey, this part works good.
Right.
And put it on there as an affiliate link, and I make like 4%. So full
transparency,
full transparency. I make 4% of that, and it doesn't cause you a markup, and you know that the part's gonna fit the bike.
And it's helping keep this like you don't make that much money. You're not.
So every time I make money, I turn around, I get it in Amazon gift cards, and that's why I have Barkbusters now because I was like, I want to verify that these actually fit.
And I can say that I'm the cheapest guy probably in the entire group, right? I had the stockies, and he was like, dude, for your birthday, I'm going to get you levers because you haven't bought levers. I'm like, I keep running my stockies. And he got me levers for
it. I do the same
I think he did the grips, too. I didn't buy shit for my bike. I didn't buy a single
thing. So Dan's bike
is
stock except when he got his presents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we like the LED light, right? The LED versus TBR7, which was air conditioning. I mean, it was just no light. Now, I will say, you could do a little bit better with LED. It's nice, right?
I think you got to angle it correctly.
You got to angle it correctly, and it could go a little bit further. And I will say the brake light. If they're on a motorcycle, the biggest thing is lighting, so that you can be seen, right? Wearing visible clothing, white,
that's why
yellow,
Dan wears
whatever.
A reflective rainbow vest.
Hey, I'm here right now.
Here and proud.
But yeah, making a bigger brake light. I will say the brake light. I don't know if you can see it, but it's tiny, right? So when he has his bag and everything, and I'm riding behind him. There's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of visibility for the brake lights. So I think if they could do anything, you know what I would almost do is that the blinkers would turn.
So people were talking about that. There's actually some guy on the Facebook group. So another shout out, Lifan KPX400 Facebook group. Yeah. Tons of people in there. Tons of people that have done stuff that I haven't even done.
Right.
That are looking into different stuff. But he was talking about how do I wire in and looking at the wiring diagram to wire the blinkers come on when the brake light comes on.
I like that. Yeah. Right. But and then because like the blinkers are orange, but if you could make it red, so if you could that way, because it's all about visibility, right? So if you could see that I'm hitting the brakes, at least you have a better chance of someone not rear-ending.
Yeah, that's.
But anyway, that's.
Yeah, I mean, that goes into the safety thing, and that. So again, we used to ride on the street. I have no interest in riding on the street like I used to.
No,
it's just not fun. You rode to work for a little while.
It was sketchy,
I've ridden to work like 3 times on this bike.
It's sketchy.
And every time I'm like,
every day I almost died. Anymore. Yeah, I almost died every day.
There is always somebody texting on their phone in a Suburban behind me, and I'm like, this is it.
Every car. Yeah. You just look over and they're like this. You're like,
just come on down on the phone.
Come on. Pay attention to what you're doing. Yeah, they didn't do that. All right,
so we'll get into value proposition. We already hit on it a lot, right? So cost of ownership. I printed this out. Let me get my cost of ownership, okay? So this is mine, because I think I've spent the most.
You probably have spent the most, yeah.
Other than Eric buys stupid stuff.
Yeah.
This is all like
we're going to say cosmetic. That, you... I
bought the most useful stuff.
Yes. And you were able to try it and then put it on the website and say, hey, this actually works, right? So
the purchase price, again, we did Tiger Power Sports out of Norcross, Georgia. At the time, we got a deal because we bought 5. They were about $3,200, $3,300 at the time. We got them 4 or 5 of them for $2,800 each. After taxes and registration, we were at $3,150. So $3,150 purchase price, tag, title, out the door.
Yep.
I don't know how you want to total up oil changes. I don't know how many I've done.
I don't even know if you can consider that, right? Because oil change, like the most expensive, the most expensive part is that filter, and we could decrease that cost by buying it in bulk. So scrap the oil change.
And like we say, the thing comes with a metal oil filter.
Yeah. You could probably reuse it.
If you follow the service manual, you can reuse it.
You probably could reuse it.
Just replace it with a paper filter and replace it every time.
But
it's an $8 insurance policy.
Yeah, it truly is. Right, yeah. And use cheap oil, man. You don't need the expensive oil. It ain't going to...
Rotel T4, something with JSO MC, and make sure it's the right viscosity for whatever... If you're riding in Alaska, it's different than the viscosity.
Yeah, probably different than what we got here.
Right. Grips, about $15.
Yep.
Priceless.
And I will say, it makes a world of difference. My hands still hurt after a long day, but far less with these versus the stockies.
The fork oil, which I have in here too, fork oil about $20, also made a difference in the vibration we felt through to our hands.
This is true. It actually, I will concur with that.
So we went riding on the farm, off-road, beating up the handlebars a little, and we didn't feel as much because the fluid in the forks was just absorbing.
Right. It was absorbing it,
Seat cover.
You did buy the seat cover. I did not buy the seat cover.
This is, so in the summer, when it gets hot, and you go sit on your seat cover, mine's not hot.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like a net. It's like thick.
You know what? We need to post a picture of me from the Kentucky trip. I had to stop at a Dollar General and buy a pillow. It was horrible. I will say, like, if you're riding this, like,
the seat is not
it's not comfortable.
Bike,
it is not a touring. It is super uncomfortable for long term. And if you have a bad back, if you're old,
Dan is talking about a 9-hour riding.
Yes, it was miserable. Like every day I was in pain. But when you're going out and doing the little bullshit that we do during the day, like, when we're doing the farm and stuff, it's fine. Yeah, it's great. It does.
You're off the seat.
Yeah, I'm off the seat. I'm not really sitting on it.
The problem was we were sitting on the highway at 55 miles an hour, trying to get comfortable. Programmer from Lifan for the ECUs, free, and now being passed around in the Facebook group.
Thanks to Kyle. I will say, look, anybody else that wouldn't have, like, Lifan gave it to Kyle. Kyle's been passed around. Thank you guys for making sure that still goes around.
Yeah, please keep it going around. We're on our 14th or 15th person now.
So let's keep it going.
Actually shipping it to the next guy and going around. If you have a new KPX, you don't need that. So that programmer was the original bikes, the 2022s, the 2023s, had a fuel map that was not perfect. So essentially what would happen is you'd just be sitting there and it might die.
Right.
Yours just wasn't. Yeah, mine did.
Yeah, yours
but it wasn't quite as crisp.
Right. And I will say my bike, I didn't have that issue, right? And then they're like, hey, let's map it. And I will say, like, I could go, I'm on the fence on whether or not you can notice it or not notice it. But I will say it starts quicker. Your bike, we don't have the same issue, right? And I think it behooved us to do it.
Yeah. So I've done the 5 bikes we have and passed it around now to 15 other people. So you can sign up on
So make sure y'all keep doing that. Keep passing it around.
Facebook group, there is a link. You sign up on a Google form. You're on the list, and it'll eventually get to you. There's like 30 people signed up.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So you can also reach out to Lifan.
And please don't hold it for like a month. You know what I mean? Like, do it. Look, we get it. We're all working. We have a life.
Email Lifan and ship your ECU to them.
Right.
They will program it and ship it back to you if you're not on a time frame. This is for the people that are going to do it, have it for a few days, and ship it out.
Exactly.
Mirrors, $12.
And he's having issues with his mirrors. I have stockies. And I love them, and they're great. And I actually kind of like
the little circles.
I like the little circles. I think it's kind of cool.
I like the angle. So my right one, basically what happens is I figured out, I put my helmet on my right one.
Oh, and you broke it.
And it just kind of wore out this ability for it to stick. So my right one.
So I'm just saying, right? No money spent. Yeah. No money spent. No, my stuff still works.
So I don't need mirrors.
I'm gonna rub that one.
So if you buy this bike, don't buy mirrors out of the box. Sprocket. Took it back off.
Yeah, we didn't. We did it for that trip, so we wouldn't blow our motors. And we probably could have ran that
on the webpage, but
we could have ran that entire trip. It's that, what we were talking about that we haven't tried, and maybe we will, is a rear sprocket. Because look, when you do a front sprocket, it changes it drastically, right? If we did the rear sprocket, we could change it by 2 teeth or maybe 4 teeth, right? And it wouldn't be as drastic as doing 1 tooth down. And maybe we would find that sweet spot.
Yeah,
right?
Because we did not get an increased top speed. We got a reduced rev at the top speed. The top speed did not change.
I don't think our top speed changed. You know what? Go back to what Bob was saying. He was saying that from the factory, the way we ride them, the speedometer is not accurate. And that's kind of annoying.
There you go. The Odo. Specifically the odometer, because we do rally rides where it's on a roll chart.
Right.
And it's based on your odometer.
It's up here, roll chart.
Yeah, so you roll and it'll say at 23.3 miles on your odometer, turn left on gravel road.
And ours would be 20.1.
Dude, it was
way off, right? Rough. So it's kind of frustrating. And then when you're out there and it says you're doing 55 and you look down on your Google Maps and you're doing like 47. You're like, come on, man. Like, I don't know if it's that far off, but you get what I'm saying.
So there's an electronic adjustment to be made. May not have the part to do
it
for like 6 months.
I'm just saying, like, if Lifan, if you take a note or if you're listening, like, that's one thing they could do, and you could get that right, and you would make a lot of people happy.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Sprocket, again, took it off, doesn't even count, but it was like $15, it was nothing anyway. Yeah. If you have a TBR7, it's priceless.
Yeah.
TBR7.
Yeah, TBR7 made a huge difference.
Power wheelie in first gear?
Yes.
47 miles an hour in fifth gear.
Which I will say, we went on a journey up to we did a mountain rally up in North Georgia, and we had all of our KPXs. I think we had 4, right? Not 5. We had 4. Mm-hmm. And then we had a gentleman join us with one of the old TBR7s that we gave to him. And I got to say, like, he could not keep up with us.
We were on the highway.
Not on the highway. Like when we
could blip the throttle on the
God, man, when we were whipping it through the light, and dude, I wish I'd had GoPro, because you didn't have the GoPro. But I mean,
I got behind him a little.
He was sideways and bouncing all over the place. Yeah. So I go back to the TBR7, dude, for what it was and the cost of what it was.
Yeah, it's for what you're gonna do, right? If you're gonna never really need 60 plus miles an hour,
it's perfect bike.
$1,500.
But he couldn't actually ride it, and he could not keep up with us, and I was a little worried riding behind him that the back tire was gonna fly off and hit me. So.
Yeah. Oh, so maintenance issue. On that same trip, we figured out his swing arm bearing is also failing. Now, given that bike has sat a lot, has a lot of miles on it, and that's a 2021 now that we're finally getting to, one bearing failing. Not the worst.
It's not horrible.
Okay, so Sprocket fork oil, $20.
That was $20. Yeah.
Like we said, Maxima 10 weight.
Yep.
I
think 10 weight's better than. I think the 15's too heavy. No, I think I would actually go 10. I think
Go mine.
Yeah, I think I got the 15 and it's too much. And I would also not go the full spec where it says 470. We had 300 when we opened them. I think I'd probably go somewhere in the middle, 4 to 420.
I like it.
And that's...
I'm a bigger boy.
Yeah, but not by much.
I'm 220.
Oh, you are? Okay, all right. Well, I'm 200, so...
Really?
Yeah.
God, you got fat.
I know. I got to get on that V-shred program.
It's just representing that appropriation.
The skinny fat. Skinny fat.
So we got fork oil, battery, like we talked about.
Yeah, $30 bucks. Plan on replacing that.
It's my fault, though. It's not like, had I actually...
Mine wasn't.
If it had started in a month, yours fell. No. Yours may have been related to your starter, though.
That is very true because I was having to do too much of a load.
So he replaced his battery before replacing his starter, and then we later realized,
I can't remember how it was. Yeah.
So you were probably draining the battery.
That's probably true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Battery, not a necessary thing up front when you buy the bike. Right. You get it. You put the it comes and you have to fill the fluid. Actually, the latest one we didn't have to.
I was gonna say I think we just stuck it in.
It was a sealed battery.
Yeah, it was a sealed battery. We didn't have to mess with. Which honestly, you can get an AGM now. I mean, they're dirt cheap for this bike.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm going to measure ours and get the lithium alternative if I have to replace anything. So I did that on Jessica's Magician 250. That sucker. So lithium holds a charge.
It doesn't discharge.
Months.
Yeah.
No, it discharges, but it discharges
it's a very minuscule amount, right?
I literally didn't start her bike for 3 months.
They also
and it's carbureted, so I had to turn the thing over a few times, and it was and it has all the torque behind. Lithium all day long.
All right. So what was the total tally? So I know we're getting a little aggressive. Battery. Yep. Chain. You did now. Look. I have stock original chain. It still works.
It's stretched.
They stretch. They stretch a lot.
I'm looking at your adjuster. I think you got 4 more threads.
I don't think I can go much more.
So we have pushed his to the limit. Yes. Mine was about the same. So
and we did replace it. We did a new it's
a niche chain. Yeah. It's
what did we say? It was 180.
It's 108 teeth.
108 teeth. Yes, teeth. Yeah.
I think I listed on the website a 112 or something like that.
So we bought it.
Buy the chain breaker.
Yep, and do it
cut
yourself.
It to length. Then you have a chain breaker. The chain breaker is like $10-12.
That's cheap.
So yeah, I did replace the chain.
But you don't have to. But you can.
Yeah.
So chain, and then what was the other thing you bought?
And levers. So again, we talked about levers. If you're going to do nothing from the start, do your grips and your levers.
And look,
they make it. It's so
you can ride the bike without doing anything.
Yes.
Without doing anything, and it's a pleasant bike. Pleasant. I agree. Now, since the levers and the grips, I will say that it is a little bit more
comfortable.
More comfortable.
It's ergonomic.
It is
not something that is going to keep the bike from performing.
No.
Right?
It doesn't change it. It just changes the ergonomics, and like my hand isn't as tired. So I will say, like, if you plan on riding it for a bunch of hours in a day and multiple days in a week,
if you're buying a $1,000 bike, spend $30 on 2 things that are going to make it the most.
That I will say, because other than that, I haven't changed anything other than fork oil.
So your total cost of ownership is under $3,200.
Nada!
Don't count.
Because I got birthday presents. I got nothing in it.
Mine is under $3,350.
Yeah.
So $3,350.
I challenge you to go out on the market, buy a brand new bike, fuel injection 6-speed.
It doesn't exist.
Thank you. Right? Yeah. This is it. This fills
I'm thinking through the options, even the Chinese market. I'm like, there's the Hawk DLX. So I want to say it's 5-speed though.
So it's 5-speed. So you're missing 6-speed. All right.
And it's
so
just not the same quality. Right.
Scrap that.
Knobby tires.
I would say that's a step down, right? The KPX is
so TBR and Hawk. Boom.
Yeah, I'd say they're about even.
Hawk came out with the DLX fuel injected. Sure.
Yeah, I think that puts you above TBR.
Braz has like the Recon 250 we built for Bob's cousin. Right. Yeah. That's like it's the $1,800 to $2,000. It's that sweet spot right there, right? But if you can make that like right now, I didn't mention this already. Venom, these were originally selling for $32.99. Right. Venom has them down to $2,800 online. If you use, there's a whole bunch of different coupon codes. Use Kyle KPX250.
Plug, nice, shameless.
$50 off, and I get credit for it. And when I say I get credit, I don't get crap for money.
Right.
That means if I want to go buy another bike, they may give me $100 off.
Right.
They're not giving me any money.
And like literally, I think the last time they sent us like a tool bag, and it was like the cheesiest tool bag ever.
I bought Jess's Magician. Actually, I think I also bought Zoe's electric bike. So my daughter has a 1,600 watt little electric
bikes, dude. Those are coming a long way.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I got a little discount on that. But again, I don't get money for it. So get yourself $50 off. If you can find $100 off coupon, use it. They come up every once in a while, and they go on sale too. They do sales around the holidays and stuff like that. But it just dropped $500. So that's huge.
We're in it for cheap. You know what I will say? I was thinking about this. Dude, there's a lot. And look, you could be the kind of person that likes loud exhaust, and you could be one of those guys that chops it off. But I gotta say, being older, I used to love bass. I used to have 415s in the trunk. Right? I used to love all like loud and just obnoxious. Right? These bikes are quiet. They're quiet. And I like it being quiet. You can hide in the woods. Now, granted, the one time we went out, we got yelled at. I had a bright yellow vest on. the most yellow jacket ever. And the dude's like, get off my property. But, you know, like.
We may have been on somebody else.
I don't know. But.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's prison.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just prison. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't go there anymore.
Yeah, we're not.
But I will say, I like the quietness of the exhaust.
Yes, quietness of the exhaust. It's a.
And it doesn't have to drone, because I will say, like, look, you think about it when we're on the interstate right now. I will say, like, it's on us for not having, like, the intercom. We had intercoms, which, if y'all rhyme with a group, get intercoms, dude. We got cheap ones, which were fantastic.
Cardo's 300-ish. Yeah. We use the EJEAS V4.
I think they're like $20
Pro. $35.
$35, right? And I will say, the only negative of that is, like, when we were on interstate for Kentucky, it was kind of hard to hear with all the wind.
We also have cheap helmets.
We have cheap helmets. So, but. Dude, it makes a world of difference,
guys. It's affordable, not cheap.
We're doing everything dirt cheap, right? Yeah. Like you want to get down to the nitty gritty. What
were helmets? $80?
I don't even. They were less than $100, but they flip up, and I mean they're kind of cool, right? For what they were, and we bought them for that trip, and we had it all in there. But going back to the exhaust, there was no drone, right? So like I could get on the interstate, rip it, and I wasn't being annoyed by the exhaust.
Yes.
Like the people would be like, you know, like that would be annoying.
Yeah,
that would
there's
drive
like
me
the
crazy.
loud pipe saves lives, and then there's like the loud pipes are just
annoying.
Really loud.
Dude, the Harleys would go by and be like, dude, shut up, right? Nobody cares.
My favorite is the red light.
Blah, 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 blah. Like, who cares?
You got a motorcycle.
Yeah, who cares, man? I love that. Like, let's just be honest, guys. You're on a bike. If you want to road rage with a car, who's going to win? The car's going to run your ass over.
Yeah, you can break their side mirror.
You can knock their mirror off, but if they're going to run you over, they're going to run you over, and you're going to lose. So.
All right. Back to our segments. You ready?
Sorry, we digress. Yeah.
Okay. Stories and adventures.
Okay, we've had lots of adventures.
I know. So memorable adventure or funny story involving either bike. So your Chinese bikes, you've got nothing invested into this hobby almost.
No,
right?
I think the river crossings were hilarious, right? Because none of us were like, again, dirt bike trained or anything, right?
Okay, so the first time we crossed in Clayton.
TBR 7s, right?
Bob doesn't go.
Bob didn't want to do it. He was
Mentor takes off his boots.
Yeah, takes off his boots. I was like, yeah. I think we ended up. It was the Tallulah River or something, right?
It's the river that runs through Tallulah Gorge.
I like the Jeeps go that way and like cars go across there. And we just
Charlie's Creek Road.
Yeah, which was a blast. That was fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, the TBRs made it. And then I think I went and we were all, there was another puddle that we got to, and like everybody's like, go right, go left, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go. And I went, I think I hit the deepest spot and sunk the bike, and I thought I had flooded
choked it out.
Yeah, choked it out.
Something happened.
It died in the middle of the river.
So that was out, and then we had to pull the spark plug.
Yeah, we had to pull which it didn't have any water.
Yeah.
So, but you know that was the.
So dual sports. Ready? My favorite thing about dual sports, and people don't realize this, because the first thing they want to do is rip off the airbox and put on a cool pod filter. Yeah. Where's the air intake? We just figured this out. Right? Yeah. The air intake is like right here. It's way the hell up here. That means you can drive this deep, and if your spark plug's in good and everything else is okay, you can ride through water.
But it's literally right here. Deep. It's got a little side inlet right above your battery. So if you go above this, it's sucking in water, and you're gonna have
your battery's gonna touch. You might have issues, but still, if you just you can But if you put a pod filter down here, good luck.
I think the funniest thing was when we were somewhere on a mountain.
Was it the hill climb?
It was the hill climb. Yeah, I can make this hill, and I'm like, I don't think you can do that, bro. And he's like, no, I got this.
So it was the same trip.
Was that the same trip?
It was the same trip because we were going up to that. Was it Eagles Landing or whatever? The Heavens.
Heavens Landing. Yeah. The airport. Yeah.
So that we found a dirt road that went around the back, so we could go see the airfield. Yeah. That's cool, right? So we get up there, and there's this little offshoot to the right. There's this little offshoot to the right that goes up, and man, that GoPro does not do.
It does not do justice. It looked like this on the GoPro.
I had the crappy camera. I didn't even have a GoPro yet.
It was like this. I mean, it was 70 degree. It was damn near vertical.
I'm pretty sure it was straight vertical.
I'd say 60 to 70 degrees.
So I ride up, and I'm going, and I'm doing pretty good. But there was one lip. It was a root and a rut in front of it. And when I hit that, my front wheel came up, and I lost all momentum. Yep. So then when the front tire came down, spinning my tire, my bike was going backwards down the hill. So all I could do was just lay it down to the side. That's in the crash video. Yeah. Crash video right there. Yeah. That's in my crash video, and it looks so crappy on camera.
But it was crazy when you're there. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to die. Like I was like,
they had to come walk like 100 foot up this hill, help me turn the bike around so I could like coast down.
Yeah, because we couldn't pick it up, because if we picked it up, it was rolling down the hill. That's it was, That
was one of my favorites. Man, any of the trips. I liked the last one, the fall foliage.
Foliage was cool.
We did camping out of the trailer. Then two of the guys showed up the next morning. So we had 5. We had 5 on that ride.
Yeah. camping, I'll pass on the next time. I'm too old to be sleeping on a cot. I can't do that. You had the nice, comfortable mattress bed.
I was on the mattress, yeah.
Yeah, the cot, can't do that.
Okay, but the next day...
it was a blast.
So it was literally, we got up, and we were on the road at like 8:40 a.m. Yeah. And we probably pulled in at, what, 4:45?
We were probably the slowest people there.
Yeah. No, we were, because the people that we were riding with behind us were the people that put on the thing. They were the safety bikes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were like, hey, come on, guys.
So they were literally, we were riding, so we didn't give a damn. Like, we were out there to enjoy ourselves. Some of the guys were like speeding through the thing. And
they were whipping through it,
And then they're home, and we're still out there on the mountain.
Oh, that was a good time.
Okay. So how did the bikes contribute to the experience? I wasn't worried about dumping a big expensive bike.
Well, you know what? We will say, look, the only issue we have ever had with a KPX, we were up in North Carolina with Bob. And I don't know what happened. But
I know exactly.
But look, we were all riding.
You're not going to dog me out.
We're all riding. We're all riding, and Bob's like, guys, my bike doesn't feel right. We're like, you'll be fine, Bob. So we just
put some tools in his little tail bag, and we're like,
it's just a tool thing. He's like, no, guys, this doesn't feel right. Dude, just keep riding. We kept telling him to keep riding. He's like, dude, I'm telling you, it doesn't feel right. And we're like, shut up, man. You're good. Just keep riding. And I think it got to the point, he's like, no, dude, I'm pulling over. So thankfully, he
listened to his bike.
He listened to his gut and his bike and was like, I'm stopping. And whether you guys want to stop or not, and he stopped. So shame on us for saying, don't worry about it. Because, dude, his axle nut almost came off.
So here's the story.
And this is his fault. It was his fault, not mine.
Here's the story. I checked the chain on 3 bikes, and I think I tensioned all 3.
Okay.
And I tightened the axle nut back up on 2 out of 3 bikes.
Right.
That is a pretty good success ratio.
2 out of 3. I mean, that's not bad, right? I mean,
so he rode around. Yeah. So we probably rode 80. We rode to the top of Marshall Mountain.
Dude, I don't know. We were on mountain roads.
Mount Mitchell,
right,
the tallest mountain in the southeast.
Oh, we did, didn't we? Yeah.
Then we rode all the way down that, and rode through town, and then we rode off-road, and then we went into the neighborhood he lives in is an old mica mine, and we rode to the top of it.
So basically, we could have killed Bob, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
You could have killed Bob. I blame Bob.
So the other lucky part is that our other buddy did not show up for the trip.
So we had his axle nut. Yeah, because we actually lost the axle nut. The nut, we could not find it.
The nut and the adjuster.
Oh, the adjuster was gone too.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Lifan sent me both parts.
Jesus. So, Lifan, thank you. And it wasn't the bike's fault. This was 100% on...
100% on me.
100% on him.
I told him I would pay for it.
Yeah. But I would say that was the craziest experience. And look, I will tell you, if you're riding and your gut is telling you something's not right, don't listen to your asshole friends that are saying it's okay. Trust your gut, stop, and make your friends. If they're true friends, look, at the end of the day, we stopped and we got on. We're like, oh, shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm just saying maybe you tighten your own axle.
Tighten your own axle. Yeah.
I'm like the local mechanic of the group. And that day, now every time somebody comes behind me, I was like, all right.
We tighten our own axle nut. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're getting towards the end.
Yeah.
Ready? Okay. So we got to wrap this. God, I said like 20 minutes. I think we're at like 35.
Probably. Okay. You can edit it.
Conclusion, final thoughts, key takeaways about the KPX or TBR7 long term. Are you proud of your investment? Is this worth it? Is this a good hobby?
If your budget's $3,000 and you want something new, KPX is a no-brainer.
Okay. Why?
No-brainer.
I'll play devil's advocate. I'll just go buy a used KLR 650.
It's used, right? If I want new, and you know me, I'm anal retentive. I like everything clean, neat.
All right, but they're all Chinese trash.
I haven't had it blow up yet. For being Chinese trash, I'll give Chinese trash the credit that it's due, man. For what it is, for what we've put it through, it has held up and it has performed. Because, like we said, we went up against $20,000, $30,000 bikes, and we were doing the exact same thing they were doing, and they were all like, "How the hell are you doing that?"
It was really easy because we have 330 something like that pounds.
Yeah,
and they're on like 400, 500, 600-pound bikes. It gets heavy, man. When you're off road, you want light and quick.
Right. And everywhere we've gone, everybody has admired and appreciated. They're like, "What do you want?" And dude, it's a good bike. It looks good. It performs well for the price point.
Yeah,
I don't think it can be.
I do miss our themed TBR7s with all the Star Wars characters.
We did all that.
So I had a Stormtrooper on my white one. I think you had...
I had R2-D2.
You had R2-D2 on your blue one.
And then
Rob had Yoda.
Yeah, Bob had Yoda. Yeah.
Bob had Yoda. Yeah. And then he had it said Toy Yoda across the front of his headlight. We did all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it was dumb. But
Okay, so tips for new riders considering an affordable bike. Is this a good beginner bike?
100%. And look, you don't even have to buy a new. You could probably go on the market and find one used, right? Because look, I think this is a stepping point. If someone's getting into this, they're probably buying this, right? They're doing it cheap. They're getting on it, and they're like, man, I like this, right? And maybe you do go to a Honda. Look, Honda, Kawasaki,
We ride with a KLX.
They're great
Brandon
freaking
KLX,
bikes. They're 20 years from now, they're still going to be running, right? Will the KLX be running? I don't know. I can't tell you that. I don't know 20 years in the future. But from what I can say, from what we put it through, I think you could get at least 5 years out of it without any major issues.
So what would cause me to not buy this as a new rider? If I'm 5'7" or below.
Yeah. If you're sure, I would almost say 5'9", right?
5'9".
Because
I shaved Eric's seat.
Yeah.
So Eric's one of our other buddies.
He's a short guy.
A little shorter, and I shaved his seat down like 2 inches. I don't want to say
short guy, but
he can almost flat foot now. Yeah. No, he's shorter than us. I'm 6'3".
I'm 6'3" and a half, 6'4". So
yeah, most of our guys are 6 foot tall. Yeah. So this makes sense.
So if you're a taller guy, the bike's awesome. Yeah. And now we did adjust the rear shock on yours recently.
Lowered it. Yeah.
And it did lower it. So if you were looking to do that, you could you could tighten up that rear shock, and it will lower it some.
That's true. What else? So I said earlier, MSF safety course. If you're a first-time bike rider, motorcycle rider specifically, then just go do the MSF safety course. Yeah. In a lot of states, it'll actually get your driver's license. So you don't have to then go take a test.
And you know what would be awesome if you have a friend that has hunting property? Because then, look, my buddy, no. I don't know how many more people, but my buddy has a grass wide open area, and it is fantastic for taking new people. We've taken people's wives out there, and God bless the guy that lets us come out here. Right, like even here, you have a nice
there's like a quarter acre of just like it's basically a football field.
Because look, his own son tried to kill me. The only incident that I've had, right, of going down. It's the only time I've gone down.
No.
Yeah, the only time I've gone down for issues.
You hit a tree.
I did run into a tree, but that's on me. I'm saying for like incidents of like dumbassness, right? Was his kid on a 4-wheeler just cut off in front of me, and it was like either hit him or go down.
Kid. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that was your kid. That's your spot. But if it'd been on road or street, that would have hurt. On grass, you know what I mean? Like you just picked it up and you kept going.
Yeah. So
and it did break a lever, a stock lever. So that's why
So why are we getting rid of the KPX? Why would you get rid of this bike?
I would like a better seat. If we're gonna we'd always talked about taking a across the country journey.
We just did Kentucky.
I
would have loved to be on that Triumph 1200 in Kentucky.
The Triumph 1200 would have been much more comfortable.
How much does it cost?
30,000. It's 28,000. I think
24. 25.
He spent over 20 something on it, right?
I think he said 18. But yeah, it's you're at the 20 grand range. You're talking
stacks.
Yeah,
stacks, right? So like KPX is coming out with a new. What is it?
No, Lifan's coming out.
Lifan. I'm sorry.
So they're coming out with the KPT400. It is a touring adventure bike,
which I think looks interesting.
It is water cooled,
twin
cylinder.
Which I will say, we never talked about it. This is not water cooled.
This is air cooled.
Air cooled.
Never had an issue though.
We haven't had an issue,
and we have revved these things out in the woods, standing still.
Dude, you remember when we were in Florida and we were in some like beach and like some soft sand, and we were just like pegged in
the summer. Never had an issue.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah. But I do think water cooled just for longevity, because dude, if you keep an engine hot all the time, I could see it.
What we're looking at though is we did 3,000 miles on these. If we get the KPT, we're talking doing a long trip. Like one trip is 1,000 miles.
And look, 90% of it would be road versus you know what I'm saying?
Talking highway.
But that would be, but we wouldn't maybe even not even highway. Maybe we're taking like back roads
but
or whatever.
It's like I want to say it's like 400 and something pounds. It's not 600 pound, 1,200 cc bike. It's still
and it's still not a whole lot of horsepower. And that's I think the other thing that we mentioned that Bob was saying was that horsepower.
Yes.
If we could get a couple more, I think we're like 20 something.
Yeah, it's about.
If we could get maybe like 30, 40, I think it would make a big.
I think 25 horsepower would be boom.
Yeah.
World of difference.
I think 30. You put it at 30.
I think you can do that on a fuel map and an exhaust. So Facebook group, check it out. By the time you see this might be a lie. Currently, there are people that have done the exhaust, but they're using basically a sensor to trick the O2 into thinking it's okay. What I want is an exhaust, keep the O2, remap the fuel map.
Yeah.
For a proper fuel map, for free-flowing exhaust.
Make sure you have the right,
and that will give you 2-3 horsepower right there.
Yeah, because I know like all the old bikes, like the Suzukis and everything like that, you could put it up. What was that? It was a program. You could plug it in, and it would literally, you could map it for what.
So that's what we essentially did with the programmer for this ECU. It has a fuel map in there. It's saying, I detect this much air, this much fuel. Go ahead and do this and ramp it up like this. You're just telling it, I'm getting more air out. The exhaust says, cool. I'm gonna put more through. Same with the free flowing air intake. For the guys that do run the pod filters, there's some guys that have taken this engine and put it in. Like little crazy mopeds and weird stuff. It's a good engine,
cool.
Right?
Look, I don't hate
they have pod filters, right? So it'd be really nice for them to be able to say, boom, I've got a pod filter.
Dude, didn't we find some weird? Was it Lifan that was associated with Harbor Freight? That had
Harbor Freight
engines?
Predator engines.
Yeah, the Predator engines.
They built Predator
so
engines.
Lifan builds. So if you
Lifan
just crazy,
builds a lot of engines.
A lot of stuff.
Tao is one of the most prolific bikes in the world.
Yeah.
Right. If you count up all their mopeds and all their motorcycles.
Yeah, I guess if you think about it like that, right? Yeah.
And Lifan has been around for a long time and makes quality, dependable engines. Let me clarify. This is not a Kawasaki KLX 250, right?
But this
is not $7,000 by the time you get out the door.
And did we ride with a Kawasaki and do the exact same thing the Kawasaki did?
Oh, we did it better.
We did it better. So that could be rider error or whatever. But,
he was a nerd. That's okay.
But I'm just saying, so like we could sit here and like go. I think if we were to put the same guy on the same bike, it would do the exact same thing. If we put this up against...
It serves a purpose, right? This is a hobby.
Right? Yeah.
If you are a responsible adult, so that's the point in our life we've reached. We've reached a point where we say, this is a cool hobby.
Yeah.
This shouldn't take away from food on the table for our family.
Right. Yeah. It does, right? And it doesn't need to.
I would love to have a Triumph Tiger.
I mean, I would love to have that bike that he had. But you know what? Honestly, after seeing him and we went to one, and now I will say, 90% of the time, 90% of the time, he was
Picture
there.
of me and pushing him up.
But he muscled that bike. But here's the difference, right? He muscled the bike and did well. Mm-hmm. We were just chilling. You know what I mean? Like we were just doing what we normally do. And
then David came behind us on he has an electric dirt bike and just
okay. Yeah. I think they weigh like 50 pounds, right? Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Okay, so this is the point in the YouTube video we're supposed to tease our next adventures / purchases.
So look, we're looking for Lifan.
Lifan, hit us up.
I'm
already contacting him.
The KPT400, we're willing. These two guys right here, we will go out and do. You know what? If you want to make it interesting, get a KPT400 and get what you would say would be the equivalent, and we'll ride both of them. And we'll go right out and we'll put it side by side. And
we're about equal skill.
Yeah. I would say we're about equivalent, right?
I mean, I've dropped.
I mean, you can ride wheelies. I don't like riding wheelies. It's not my jam.
But I've dropped mine more.
Right. This is true.
I'm a little less risk averse once we're on the bike.
I just had a new baby, so like I'm a little more hesitant than I was a year ago.
So that's the new adventure is so March is the tentative.
Yeah,
it's been tentative for a year, guys.
Right,
a year ago they were teasing spring, and now
it looks
next
cool.
Year spring. So boom, picture of the KPT400. This is the tease.
This thing looks pretty legit.
It'll get us from here to wherever we want to go.
So I want to say it was like over 30. I think it was 35 horsepower.
It's up there. It might even be 42.
Might even be, right?
Here, ready? Specs.
Yeah, specs. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Right. You can do that.
I can't.
Right.
Look, YouTube creators are cool, but I don't want to read you off spec sheets.
Yeah.
Right. This is about experiences and what we're actually doing here. It's going to be a different type of riding for us, but we're still going to do the off-road stuff.
I think we could still whip it through what we do on our off-roading stuff.
I think it would be a blast. You saw that there's a guy there on a 10 700. Yeah.
So I would let Lifan to make this happen because we will put it through its tests and we'll vouch for it. You know what I'm saying? If it does what we put it through, then anybody could ride it and anybody could be good.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think that's the goal that's what I'm ditching this bike for.
Yeah.
Right? Because I need someone with some cushion. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here, right? I need someone for some cushion for the butt so that I don't have old man. Like my tailbone, what do they called it? I told you something. It's
coccyx?
The coccyx. I had like a nerve. I could not walk.
It was coccyx was very slow.
It was horrible. I was literally hobbling around. You remember? It was a week after that trip. I was like, I can't do this.
This is my friend. He's 90.
you know the old man with a cane on the Dadbod thing? That's me.
After him.
Yeah. I just I'm not 20 anymore.
No, I agree. But that's why we do the way we do it, right? We're not on Hayabusas. When
I couldn't do Hayabusas anymore.
When I was 22, I did Hayabusa Atlanta to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And not okay.
Yeah. I could never do that again.
That's just, imagine.
I did 16 hours on a Hayabusa and I said never again. Yeah.
I can't even hunch over like that on our bike. We get to sit up.
Dude, it's the pressure of the wrist and the hand. No.
These bikes are definitely for the
100%, and they're comfortable to ride. They were comfortable minus the seat. The seat was not.
Now, if you want to take jumps, if you've got an unlimited budget, if you are not okay with something that you may have to eventually do some maintenance on, and there's not a dealer, like if you've never turned a wrench in your life, okay, but we are not motorcycle mechanics. We're barely car mechanics.
I'd say we're backyard mechanics.
We're definitely shade tree.
Shade tree,
right?
yeah.
We have done everything on these bikes. Me and Bob removed an engine from his son's ATV, broke apart the cases, found the gear that was broken, replaced it, and put it back together, and made an ATV run.
And it still works.
This stuff is simple. It's single cylinder.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing crazy. This is definitely the beginner bike. Now, are you going to grow out of it? Yeah, we are. Right. Yeah. That's why we're getting rid of it. That's why the title of the YouTube video. Right. Like we're done with these. Now, what's the reality? You're gonna see a bunch of videos of these in the next one.
We're still gonna be riding
like 3-4 months for sure. And then if KPT gets delayed by the EPA again, another 2-3 months, and maybe we just end up on KLR 650s or something. But
and then we'll start a whole.
Nobody wants to see any more KLR 650 content.
That everybody does that, right?
Right?
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good, man.
Thanks for joining.
Appreciate it.
Sorry we took so long. We talk a lot. It's a problem. But thanks for joining. Like, subscribe. Again, I don't make any money off this, but go hit up kpx250.com. If you want to buy a bike, use the coupon code. If you need some accessories for it, there's an accessories page for it. I do make a little bit of money off that.
And it helps keeps it going, man.
You'll get more content. We're going to do maintenance videos. Anytime we do anything big, we did the front forks, we did the rear shock. Anytime we do the little stuff, we're going to try to tape it and put that out there for you. And we'll do the same thing with the KPT.
It's a trial and error. Like we figured out the battery. There wasn't a replacement battery. We found out what battery fit in there. And, I was the guinea pig on that. And it worked.
Yeah, you were. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. Where's my 4%?
Not happening. Thanks for joining, guys. Dude, we're called Dadbod Bikers. We ride with middle-aged, male-pattern baldness, out-of-shape, old men in the woods.
Edit it, bro.
Holy shit.
Edit it.
Oh, my God. Talk into your mic.
Talking into my mic. Talking into my mic. Talking away from my mic.
Okay. Yeah, so we got about as much up here and as much down here. This is where I feel like widescreen is just better.
Yeah, do the widescreen then.
Saturate that. Yeah, widescreen is going to give us, because then I can come in and get all the bike and not as much around us. Oh, and we're